So, welcome to Poetry Street on the Road. I am delighted to be filling in for Chip Williford. We are being recorded, only fair to let you know that, so he will know how I've done, and hopefully I've made him proud with keeping a list and keeping us moving along. I'm delighted to have my co-host, even though she's got some trouble with a broken arm there. I'm delighted that she's here. Please welcome Maggie Bloomfield.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Poetry
Hey,
Street
Maggie.
on the Road, the room where every voice is heard. Poetry Street, as most of you know, has been in existence for about 8 years. It was started by Susan Dingle and Bubby Brown. We have a wonderful feature who I will introduce, and she will be reading for us possibly twice as long as usual. And then we will have an open mic. If you would like to sign up for the open mic, just tell Judy. And let's go, folks. Kelly J. Powell, I think we know her, right? Is a poet, a native of Long Island. She's a graduate of SUNY Binghamton, has been published and performed widely on Long Island and New York City. She's worked as a bookkeeper and nanny in a number of industries to support her poetry and will continue to do so. Her collected works, Posthumously Yours, has recently been published by Local Gems Press and is available on Amazon.com. Please unmute and let's give a warm welcome to Kelly J. Powell.
Hey, Kelly Bean.
Welcome, everyone. It was a little noisy in the background. But I'll say hello like a romper room. Hello, Yvette. Hello, Maggie. Hello, Judy. Hello, Gladys. Hello, Adam. Hello, Babette. Hello, Jay. Hello, Sasha. Hello, Dee. Hello, Herb. Hello, Pramila and Nancy, Joseph, and Mindy from London. So I decided to make this reading a little tour of my, a book tour of my books that I made myself. So I'm gonna read one from each. I didn't time myself, which is of course an issue, but so I'm just gonna start because people get long-winded on these things. So the first book I made on Lulu is called Ars Turetica. And it's not available, please don't buy it. So I wrote a cat poem. So I'll just read that. Michelle Whitaker had edited these years ago. You know, she stayed over my house and edited my books. So she would do it while I was sleeping. So it's called a cat poem. Feline is on the prowl. She sits cleaning her haunches, wildly with her tongue, slithering along the third rail of her tail. Her green eyes unblinking with her third face of Eve. Her back claws hook and hold someone else's Chippendale chair. So that was about someone who stole a boyfriend. Anyway. So it was a series. So the second one is a penance for a cat poem. What if I could sing a song of myself in secret, in the shower, without shame and with tears and triumph? What if this were a love story about this, my long neglected mistress? There is a misconception about sacrifice as a virtue, that Christ's wounds paid for our sins, that the debt is not still ticking, and that there will be poor always. Contrary to popular belief, Narcissus did not love himself. Were we to see his pain reflected in that pool, as well as his graven image, his longing, the broken mirror of his shattered self, of his soul, and of the man he saw inside, we would pity him instead. If we could see inside the nasty old man chasing kids off his lawn, the gold digger, the fallen priest, we might weep instead of scorn. But it would then become a price too high, like DSS having a drive-through. Or a proper pillow and a warm blanket, or a polished board in the jailhouse. If kindness and compassion were easily obtained, what then its value? What if when they had mapped our DNA, they found the lost treasure of Atlantis, its inhabitants had mutated the power to walk in another's shoes? What if saying things like, my hands are tied, I'm sorry, I just can't, no way, Jose, and a wild crocodile, bios con dias, my friends, no creamy middle in this Oreo, good riddance to bad rubbish, stupid, 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 labels of good and bad, white lies, purple lies, green with envy, turning a blind eye, voiceless, powerlessness, helplessness, viciousness, became things that were against the law. What if in the subway tunnel, a man named Bernard, living without addictions, with a surrogate family of his own choosing, made his home like Walden Pond? I saw him on Jerry Springer, and I saw him with different eyes. Jerry Springer, that is. What if you'd seen Bernard's story before in a film you had been editing with a friend about those cave people, their home away from home? What if the relentlessness of a constant epiphany can be unnerving? This annoying song of myself is a song of one and a song of all, and this, however, is what I am thankful for. That was penance for a cat poem. Okay. This was the second book I made on Lulu, called Angel in the Microwave. Not available for sale. Please don't even try to buy it. It's a terrible book. This is called My Doorway.
Okay. Oh my God.
Deep within, held it dear and framed you like a living God. My life once held you in it, too tightly, too loosely, too lightly, too tamely, too often, too little, too closely, too distant, too happy, too angry to begin or to set it right. My home once held your love, your rage, your light, your desire, your kiss, your breath, but now it only holds mine, against my will and for a lifetime. I'm in a bad boyfriend mode.
Oh.
Thank you, Christina Rao. She had a bad boyfriend poem. So this one's called In Order Not to Cry. Again, nobody buy this. So my life as a Fabergé egg. It was not so terrible, really. All dolled up and a glorious treasure inside. A tantalizing surprise, years in the making and keeping of something of intrinsic value, one of a kind, like a tiny gem encrusted soul in the shape of a miniature carriage or ship, some so secret they will never be known again. Lost in the revolution, uncatalogued, unkempt. It was not so terrible, really, until it was acknowledged that there was a self beyond the egg, that there were others as unique, as valuable, and that there were others who were not. Not equal, not individual, mass marketed, mass manufactured, and they thought of themselves as the real thing. And this was unsettling. Once they hatched, they stormed the world and filled up space and time and lifted their voices and sang the song of a siren. Then came the lure and the crash, and then the end, finally on the rocks, when that mirror arrived for the millions of Medusas. Okay, so Monk does not like the name of this collection. It's called A Little Hate is Healthy. So this poem is called Falcon. They call this blackout poetry now. We did it in college 1 year ago when I was there. So it was an article from the Times that my teacher handed out, and we blacked out the parts that made a poem. It was called Falcon. Fasten her ungloved as she dangles upside down across your glove, rocking your fist angles, darts again, sometimes several in a row. A movement, an offered bit, reinforces fright every morning, watering the temptation to indicate that it's there, garnished with a rear and a hiss at the end of starving to be shy of a human face, inside the glove of that not quite dead gaze. For a very long 30 seconds, and infinitely slowly she bites in an absent-minded way. It looks like you have to do it all over again, and suddenly forward in her boredom to comedy, a proud reason sidles back and forth, stamping spread by her surprise audacity, and returns to this routine exercise. Is unfenced. The article was about some kind of engineering. So those were the so thank you for your patience on my tour. I'm almost there. So my collection, Cassandra Complex, is also not available, but Kempton and I started a press called Boonsack Press, and we made these books in his living room. He lives in Maine now, so it's a little inconvenient. It's called Today, Now a Month Ago. I set a balance sheet to music, a fast ring from an old set of curtains. I swam in a muddy carpool. I aired my dirty laundry in public, and I told in a gristmill. I reminisce before violence of video games. Days disemboweling was our survivor. Still, I wonder how I managed to lose my innocence. And I had my coffee and drank them down, as bitter as that might seem. So now we're in the present day. So I'll give you a choice. Does anyone want to make a choice? On Tombstone and a poem called Sweet Child. Does anyone want to vote?
Do them both.
Do them both? Okay. And then this is called Sweet Child. You found his hoards of money hidden in the old chest of drawers when no one else could find them. We are not one thing or another, sweet child, but are we a sum of all of our parts? It's not your fault you were lured by our grandfather into an embrace without release. You took his hoards of money and found some peace in your own desecration. Sorrows of those close to you and others more loosely connected, ripples in a pond. Mind the ripples on sweet child. Our actions create vibrations that travel farther than can be seen with the naked eye. You escaped geographically for a time, but the needle found you again in a maroon van, exactly where it left you, and brought you home. So now, on my own tombstone, what I want on my tombstone: Viking, warrior, princess, seeker of justice, lover of righteousness, defender of harmony and beauty, voice of the voiceless, gave power to the powerless. And I wish you were here instead, but I don't want. She was nice. She paid her taxes. She had good penmanship. She folded her laundry and then died in her sleep in Denver. That was an homage to Kerouac. So this is my last poem. Please, I would rather hear all of your other poems than my own. This is another bad boyfriend poem. Thank you, Christina Rao. The poem better left unwritten. You wore the aftershave of all the Spanish men in the 5 boroughs seemed to wear that year, and for many, many years to come. During crucibles, some of us called the 80s and the 90s, now defined as the 20th century. The name of it comes to me in a dream. Drakkar sounded like Arabian Nights and a Plath and Hughes tragic love story altogether, and I saw myself becoming the girlfriend I had replaced, and that I would lose myself sooner than later. You were only a train ride away from fathering my only child, but I remained faithful despite your polar strength pull. So I gave you up instead of murdering you. In a fit suburban ennui, kids in private schools, overindulged, clinging together as my sister and I had, fledgling phoenix, forever taking flight and burning and flying and burning and flying, and you remain my one singular tragedy left unwritten. And if we met on the street tomorrow, I would still know your face better than I know my own, better than my own chapped hands and lips. And I only recently, after 35 years, learned that I could allow myself to still love you and go on living. Living with that and the mystery that left my only child born with your face so eerily alike as 2 twins of Verona. And you and I, separately and together, you hated Brooklyn, where I briefly lived, and yet you never left her. With you, life became exciting, passionate, too exciting and brilliant, maybe a little too brilliant, like getting too close to the sun can be exciting. And now nostalgia becomes my other twin, driving down the road to my own car in oblivion. But I have obligations to keep and live in a world a new generation will, thankfully, for all of us, finally change without accepting our tired, old excuses. I just have to keep the blue flame turned down a little lower this time. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, Kellyanne, let's all unmute and give Kellyanne a big round of applause and a yell and a scream.
Yeah.
It's basketball. Okay. Thank you so much. And Kelly, we're going to bring you back at the end to do one more poem. I'm sure you have that because you have 1,000 million trillion poems. So start digging. And the good news is that Briel phoned me and she's trying to get in. Is she there yet, Judy?
Not yet,
Not yet.
not yet.
Okay. Well, let's see. How can we do this? Why don't we start the open mic? And when Brielle gets in, we will have her feature.
How's that?
How does that sound?
This is an unusual reading anyway. I can't remember the last time I heard a feature say, "Don't buy my book."
Yeah. Oh, Kelly, is that reverse psychology?
Yes. You should give us information about posthumously yours, though. That you want to sell books, Gal. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do the open. Wow, let's be wild and crazy and say 2 poems, not too long. And I have a list, and so we'll go through the list. If I miss, I'm watching the door at the same time. So let's help welcome our first open mic reader, Herb Wolstein.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody hears me all right? Good. All right. The next to last time that I read the penultimate time, I read part one of a two-part poem, and here's part two. Romance. I've seen you beaten, knifed, and robbed in lower Manhattan. I've seen you shivering and starving on a winter's day, walking on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. I've seen you drunk and tired at 6 a.m., leaning on a bar in downtown St. Louis. I've seen cockroaches crawl on your children in LA's many poverty places while you were working 12 torturous hours that day, wondering whether you'd make ends meet that or any week. I've seen you and your children, ragged and calloused, migrate from one corporate farm shantytown to another. Most of the world has always been under the rule of relatively few moneyed people who have kept you from ever entering weary, wasted lives. This is wrong. I'd like to see it changed. Still, what can be done? How can multitudes of poor people ever embrace you? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Herb. And now to interrupt our open mic. Welcome, Brielle. Now I bring back Maggie Bloomfield, and we are going to hear from our second feature.
Okay. Briel Felton is a poet currently working as lecturer at Cornell University, where she teaches freshman writing seminars and intro to creative writing. In her spare time, she tries to catch up on books she wished she could have read while she was a graduate student, and she watches The Office. I met Brielle at the Southampton Writers Conference a couple of months ago and was knocked out and wanted to introduce her to the Long Island poetry street on the road scene. So please help me welcome Briel Felton.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again. I apologize for the delay. Time is just still trying to figure out exactly what time is. Yeah, I have been writing for a long while. I went to school for it, and I'm trying to get back into the groove of writing again and finding that passion for it. I think taking it into academia, it takes away the passion for it, because you're just trying to get things done for grades and for thesis writing and all that stuff. And so I am very much missing it, and hopefully reading today will kind of prompt me to get back into it. And I really appreciate you all for allowing me to have this space and sharing it with me. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to read a little bit from my thesis manuscript. These are the poems that I probably feel the most comfortable with, the ones that I've sat with the longest. So yeah, I'm going to start with this one poem. It's my mom's favorite poem because it's about her. And ever since I wrote this poem and had performed it, she's always asking, have I written anything else about her? Which of course I have, but you have to lie and be like, no. So she'll get off you. So this poem is called All My Mother's Rambling. All my mother's rambling involves her death. She tells me which casket not to put her in. Not gold, not pink, off-white. I suggest cremation. It's cheaper. Don't you dare, she says. She doesn't care. She wants to lay in a mausoleum. I say, your life insurance won't cut it. She says, this poetry thing will jump off by then. She tells me to dress her in burnt orange. I ask if she wants me to put a bra on her. You better. Make sure they make me up nice. I visualize her long hair curled and spread out on funeral pillows, hands folded above her pubic bone where her organs used to be. I see myself going up to the casket and positioning her middle finger to flip off the mourners. They will be too afraid to touch her, wondering, who is this meant for? I'll pull the corners of her burgundy stained lips into a smile. She'll say, fuck you, to the hypocrites who didn't call while she was in the hospital, to the ones who overlooked her, the ones who broke her heart. Yeah, fuck you. She says, one more thing, don't cry too much. I roll my eyes, pretending to be over this. I say, by the time you die, it will be a relief. Yes, my mom is very much the type that always wants to talk about and plan her death for some reason, which I kind of appreciate because it allows there to be some humor in that, even though I can't possibly think of life without my mom. But yeah, we have fun. We have fun, definitely. So the next poem I'm going to read is kind of about her too, but just about girlhood itself. It's called Flusterization. Adrian plays bass with his hips, like it is a bone jutted out from the body. His fingertips plucked like deflowering a rose, saying, give him a little something, something like we do. I, like a pubescent teenager with a bag of ideas and a computer, I watch among new and old conversations, feeling my own flesh ache and flusterization. I haven't kissed since Trump was elected, thinking the world was going to end. I said yes to the wrong boy, but his lips were always cold and I liked that, but not enough to stay. There are plenty of men that want to kiss me. I wish to God I could be as free and let them. My aunt told me once that when a man kisses you, he wants you to feel everything he's feeling, and it must be some type of catastrophic anomaly, because every time I've kissed a boy, I've felt a bruising kind of maelstrom. My mother asked me in the backyard if I wanted to go to hell while she and my brother went to heaven. I had too many running thoughts. My mother didn't know what to do, and neither did I. I had a pulse in my left thigh, and I had no idea what to do about it. I rubbed against the bed late at night while I thought of the boys in my class when they put their hands down our shirts or touch our butts as we walked. I remember the boy Eddie sitting in music class. My butt was sticking out of the back of the chair. He whispered to his friends, Briel has a fat ass. And a smile rolled the corners of my mouth as I pretended not to hear it, arching my back into a sharp C. That day, 5 boys touched my butt, and that night I slept like a baby. I've always had a thing for musicians. They all have strong hands, strong lips, a keen sense of music that wells within the body. I remember the first time I kissed an alto sax player, the first time a drummer held my hips in his hands, when a pianist ran his fingers along the curve of my spine, like he was playing accompaniment to in a sentimental mood. The moon curls up into the sky, feeling like a Coltrane blue note, a little something something in the palm of their hands, a bone jutted out of the body. Thank you. This poem was just me writing. I was working in an office, and I always find that working in like odd places, you find some of the best poems because they're just like everyday things that become it's like white noise. We're not paying much attention to it, but when you tune in, you really see the music there. So this poem is called Don't They Wear Scarves Like Yours? There's a constant whir of copy machines and running desktops in an office. The click-clack of keyboards, CCs and emails, and the smell of leftovers and cooked Tupperware. Kathleen's son got an internship in Nigeria, and Melissa has always wanted to go. They start droning over things they've Googled about Africa, breaking the silence for 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Getting up to water the same plant twice in an hour, Deborah's unrelenting wet cough from the head cold that she had 2 weeks ago, and the unraveling of her menthol cough drops. I delete random keystrokes that I made with my elbow on the document I have been editing. Kathleen asks me if I've been to Nigeria. Don't they wear scarves like yours? I love the way you do it. I could never do something like that, as she makes a tornado motion above her head. The desire to hear someone's voice instead of wedding bands hit the sides of coffee mugs is insatiable. Everyone carries coffee mugs when they leave their desks. Doors are always open for any sort of interaction. The only interaction I need is the warmth of my cardigan, drool on my knuckles from a 2-minute nap where I dreamed I was an arsonist. Glenda asks if I have any Band-Aids. She cut herself with a manila folder. I envy her. It's Friday at 2:30 p.m. The lady in the office across from me has been staring at her window for 20 minutes. I wonder about her sex life. She's playing. I bet she's loud. I get off at 6 and keep thinking an hour has gone by. 2:35, 2:40, 2:40, and 59 seconds. I steal a pen and a pad of sticky notes every day. I've been staring at this screen, trying to stretch the work. My boss comes in and asks about some professor's proposal I've been editing for a week. How's it coming along? Her monotone voice dribbles down her chin and smacks my desk. I lie. It's coming along fine, ma'am. I'll be done by this evening. I tell her there are so many issues with grammar, but I want to say, bitch, don't rush me. I go through and add all the errors myself and fix them again and again until the clock blinks 6. I get a ping on my computer. Brandon is having a going away party. Come enjoy drinks while we wish him good luck on his doctoral studies in psychology. Are we all subjects for his research? The ennui of the everyday workplace, I imagine. I've imagined once or twice what I would do to Brandon on his desk, on his dissertation notes. Wendell asks me once a week if the scarf I wear on my head is religious. Wanda at the front desk asks if my hair is real when it's out. My fingers are always cold and numb. To feel them, I do rapid keystrokes on the keyboard to feel something. Thank you. Thank you. I'll read this one. This is a little goofy one that I wrote. I don't even know when I wrote this actually, but I always like putting a personality behind God. I like to write, not write as him, but I just like to put a different spin on him, if you will. So this is called Ode to Free Will. God puts us in these bodies and has himself a yoo-hoo with a bendy straw. He maneuvers the antenna on his television and sets himself into a recliner to watch the mully-grubs of humanity. He leaves us no guide but a book of old tongues, smiles wide with fish lips and dips his hand into a bag of Fritos. Congregations of cells writhe down back streets in billowing cars. He watches a fight between two crackheads on the corner of 9th and Broad Street. The heart of two stretched to break before it is even a thought. I fall to my knees in routine. Dear God, I don't know how to be. The mistakes we make before they slice into our skin, our tongues hang off their hinges. Look down and see the scars. God burps with his dark mouth, turns off the TV and retires to bed. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not sure how much time I have left. I should be paying attention. I apologize.
Yeah, why don't you do one more, but save one for after the open mic. We're going to bring you guys back for one.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so just one more.
Sure.
Okay, and I'll do a little short one. I just found a short. This one is called Age. I sometimes want to be in the act of doing and not be wet in that way where there is no permanent indentation. The truth is, I know the value of $1 in Mexico, but no idea what my body is if someone talks too fast. I left my phone in the cupboard the night my friends rang, when the boys terrorized the tadpoles in the summer. I opened my mouth to outcroak the bullfrogs and cicadas. My own moans sound like the ohm of a conch shell. I still hear the boys. I am victorious in my curiosity that is always killing, but unsuccessful when the wind whips too close to my earlobes. I still hear the boys. I am jealous of the blood because it's closer to the nail head than me. Thank you.
All unmute and give a big hand for Briel Felton. Woo-hoo!
Yay!
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Briel. That was just magnificent. I'm so glad you made it. And I'm so glad we got to hear you. And we will bring you back at the end of the program to read one more poem. And now we will return to the open mic, and I will hand it over to Judy.
Thank you, Brielle. Thank you, our last minute add-ins. We're doing a maximum of 2 poems at the open. And I'm looking, because I know she was gonna have to leave, and Gladys was up next. And so sorry we missed you, Gladys. Sorry we missed you, Jay. They did say they had to leave early. And so the next person I have on my list is Joseph Hearns.
Yes, and I'm here.
Terrific.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, my first reading was last week, and I really, everybody said I had the voice, but to this week, I wanted to express a poem in which I wrote 21 years ago. Being confined. It's called Faith. I was having a bad time in my life. So, from the Alpha to the Omega, I had taken a look, gaining love, knowledge, and wisdom through a great book. With this, I placed my faith into the hands of God, and I will keep that faith or face his mighty rod. I will keep this faith forevermore as I walk by the light and not by sight through all of life's doors. And that was that.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph. I think maybe we'll have you come, and if you don't have a poem next time, just read from the phone book. You have a wonderful voice.
Well, thank you,
you.
but I'm going to, I got 66, so I won't have any problem.
Okay, so no excuse. We're going to see you next month then.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank
Birthdays.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay.
Next, and next on our open mic, please welcome Babette Albin.
All right. Well, this is my first opportunity to meet you. And Judy's been out my way, which is in Queens. So it's lovely not to have to get into a car and see you guys. And this poem is called You Talk Too Much. You talk too much about things nobody wants to hear. Lost cities, buried languages, forgotten civilizations. Why bring up the past when there's so much more to be concerned about? Crashing economies, depreciating trust, eroding confidence. Once a walk was simple, not tripping over ancient ruins. Now we have to avoid topics like air and water and burning forests. Ah, so unpleasant. Frankly, you're depressing me. Your talk of rationing daylight is sickening, and the very idea that sunset tickets will be difficult to obtain absurd, and your museum of dread, once a private affair for the elite, will soon be posted online for all to see. Really, my dear, this has to stop. Don't you think you've taken democracy a little bit too far? All right. So I think that's a good intro.
Very nice. Thank you, Babette. Did you have another poem you wanted to share?
Well, I'm working on something, and I'll tell you how a poem gets born in my world. I read something that is upsetting, takes me to a place that I haven't been, in a voice that I have never imagined I would have. And I use that, I jump on that. And this is the poem, Blaspheming Housewife. And it was based on a novel that came out of Japan and created a terrible stir. So I guess that's what I really want to do, create a terrible stir. Blaspheming housewife survives her own execution. Soon she'll be called into account, her deeds measured, her words sifted, her veil preserved in vinegar and brown paper. Were you there? Did you see what was really happening? That's her in the corner gaining her religion. Sand in her dancing shoes, eviscerated sleep, offering up as a sacrifice the bartered brides who never made it to the chuppah. And just who is to blame? She who was the willing executioner of her own demise, a lifetime of calculated compromise, a marriage of fruitful inconvenience, offered in atonement for the sins never committed or committed with the purest of hearts. Lady Liberty, of thee I sing, do not forsake me in my swing. Woohoo! So much for going past 65 and still going strong.
Right on. Thank you, Babette. And next, please help welcome our next open mic reader, Adam Fisher.
Thank you. It's good to see all of you and hear you. This is an imaginary take on something that happened, about 35 or 40 years ago when I took my daughter, who was then, 12 or 13, to a Mets game. And she's now in her early 50s. At any rate, it's entitled Restrooms. The line for the ladies' room is long as usual, but there are only half dozen men waiting for the men's room. Two girls can't or won't wait, so they brush past the waiting men and enter two stalls. Seeing this, three guys pull down their pants and face the stalls. When the girls come out, they glance at the guys, not interested, only came to pee. While the girls wash their hands, one fellow pulls up his pants, takes several paper towels, hands them to the girls, bows deeply. For you, mademoiselle. The girls take the towels, merci, monsieur, curtsy, and leave. One man calls over his shoulder. One girl calls over her shoulder, your fly is still open. Is there time for another one?
It's time for another, yes.
All right, this is called Nakedness. When my friend stayed in my college dorm for a conference, he went to the unisex showers, each a small room with a door. He found a free stall, realized he had forgotten soap, but found some there, then rummaged in his bag to find shampoo. A young woman in a bathing suit came by looking for a free stall, opened his door, which he forgot to lock. "I'm sorry," he said. She winked. "I'm not sorry at all."
What a delightful pair of poems, Adam. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. And let's welcome our next open mic reader, Doreen Dee Spungen.
Oh. Judy, thank you. I have to finish laughing at what you just said. Okay. Hi, everybody. Briel, Kelly, what a pleasure to hear you both. Wonderful work. Here's a poem called Set This Day Apart. My cheek will not be kissed much longer by summer's languid air, as September's end readies new beginnings. Promises of endless days, the wicked ways of seasonal departures rip this heart to salty shreds of memories that clot the ocean. Take the roses, burn their petals, mark my face with scars of time. Silly season, wringing hands, you will return young once again, but I may not. And if I'm spared, I'll greet you knowing who you are. And you will wonder if I'm my ma. This game of running fast in place has fooled me once again. In summer or in any season, I wish that I were 10. Thanks. Because Kempton's name was invoked, and now I know where he's disappeared to, I had written a poem back in 2010 called Unkempt Poem. And it was written right after I finished reading his book. And when I read it, the one time I read it, I think in person, he was in the audience, which was great. And I tried to do his movements, but I'm going to read it just for fun. If you know his work, maybe you'll see some similarity. Unkempt Poem. Servile weather today beats the price of sleep. Turning heads roll, reconsider, thunderclaps ad nauseum, the incorporation of lessons, in case you weren't looking, signs posted for the belief systems, relieving and reliving justices in the absence of a proper election. Never regarding watchmen, take no notice, trailing errant sailors come up to answers for no known questions and make paths through green to black forests, and it's too late and too far, no turning back. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. And our next open mic reader, please welcome Pramila Venkataswaran.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. Here's my poem, Women for Women. Women for Women. We are staying right here. We are not leaving. Even if the planes are waiting to carry us to a different country. Why would we leave uncertainty to a different uncertainty in a foreign country? You say we will be killed here. We know the risks. Our lives have always been precarious. A falling star was no falling star, for we became ash. If we escape, who will be there to support the women who depend on us? The girls whose dreams are just beginning to sprout. We have a purpose here, in this gnarled land of brown mountains and houses pockmarked with bullets. We are ships, our shawls and kamises buffeted by winds. We have tasted iron and felt the coarse voices of authority sandpaper our skin. Maybe we know what to expect, or perhaps we don't. When we step into the light, despite prohibitions against us, just because the rulers see us as women who need to know our place. Yes, We know our place is to make space for our sisters, mothers, daughters, even if it means breathing our last breath at the tip of an authoritarian sword. We want to live on our own terms. We are living on our own terms in our land, our beautiful, relentless Afghanistan.
Powerful, Pramila. Did you have another poem that you'd like to share?
Um, I do have, but no, not right now. No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for reading. And next, we welcome Mindy.
Okay, I have actually a first draft of something that I'm dedicating to Maggie from what you said earlier about having one of your hands available or the difficulty of writing. So this is called Southpaw for Maggie. Her right hand is indisposed, those sorcerer's digits that release poems summoned by fingers in a furious clutch around writing implements or teased in a dance of words trapped under the keys. What sinister trick of fate leaves our poet with one hand clapping, its mate convalescing under a plastered glove, the words trapped within the silent fist, wondering how to deflate the muse.
That was delightful.
Okay, thanks. That's just a little ditty for today. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. Very cool, Maggie. See, you are an inspiration, girl. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, our next open mic reader is Sasha Ettinger.
Thank you so much for these wonderful, wonderful poems. You make my Sunday. That's all I can say. So this is a short poem from a Brooklyn window. Where else besides the window does the thin line between his inner and outer world come together? He pokes his head out the second floor window, a weekend pastime. Dads and their high-tech strollers fill the sidewalk, attention fixed on budding progeny. They briskly stroll, stop to chat with other dads who have the same Saturday chore. Sunday, that's when curbside rummaging happens. Good for you, he yells to the guy below who smiles as he lifts a big toaster oven from a pile of blankets. Two familiar little Odessa ladies, babushkas on their heads, walk arm in arm, chat in their native Russian, gesture with their hands, stop occasionally to stress a point. Behind them, their spouses, more solemn, more bent over, toting a cane or a walker. Here comes Jane with her arms full of groceries, Sammy hanging on her sleeve screaming, but I want to ride the Dumbo carousel now. He can't decide whether to wander around Prospect Park, walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, or just hop over to Jacques Torres' chocolate shop. Anyway, he looks at it. Brooklyn's a great place to live. Thank you.
Beautiful journey. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you.
Do you have another poem you'd like to read?
Okay, let me just open the light. Inventory. She feared being alone, feared small challenges, envied those whose bodies were strong and muscular. She believed the mirror when it said she was pretty. She stumbled headlong into the future, unlocked the doors, opened the windows of her life, and never looked back. Wings fanned outward as she traveled to parts unknown, embraced the road when it sang, "Everywhere leads to everywhere." She convinced others her voice was as important as theirs. She turned the ghosts in her closet into golden scenes. Learned that illness can disfigure the body, but can't disfigure the heart. She learned that physical wounds heal with time and emotional scars heal with love. Her memories hold on to the gentle man whose arms wrapped her securely in his heart. She wishes his voice could call out to her. His hands reach out for hers. His footsteps catch up with hers. That's it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sasha. And now let's invite Larry Harper Short. Would you like to read a poem or two? Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
No, I'm the sneaker who always just sits and listens. I appreciate every one of those. Writing a poem, I've never even thought about. Listening to them, I love.
Oh,
So if you'll let me continue to enjoy that, I would really appreciate it.
you are so welcome. And thank you. And if
Thank
the
you.
poetry bug bites, maybe next time you'll read.
Well,
Thank you for
I get close. Thank you.
thanks for being here, Larry. Thank you. Okay, let's welcome. I'm delighted to actually meet him via Zoom for the first time. Please welcome Mike Cunningham.
Thank you very much. This is called Ode to a Strawberry. A queen with a green crown, heart-shaped and red, the red of the sweetest lips that have never been kissed. Your skin rains with seeds, gold pieces on a red carpet. How your pink flesh calls to me, melts in my mouth. In my empty hands, pink and dripping, you are both the gift and the giver.
Very nice.
Nice. Do you have a second poem you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'll read one more. This is called Labyrinth. I was here at 9:40. Did you forget? We said Battery Park in the labyrinth. You said 9:40 the last time we met. It was Grand Central when I waited for you. We laughed and your dimples were 2 crescent moons underneath the Pisces on the ceiling, and we kissed by the clock. We took a picture before you left, frozen in our embrace. It was then that time stopped. Now my lips have become 2 fish, waiting for the river of your mouth. 9:40, how could you forget? I waited and waited. You have become time for me. Every night in the dark sky, I search for you. Every day I wait in the same place for you. Come find me in the labyrinth. At exactly 9:40, come find me. Take me home.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mike. And nice to finally meet you. And well, hello, goodbye, Michael Cusin. He was here and left. Let's welcome Megan Dausch.
Okay.
Megan?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So this is called Egg. I roll an egg between my palms, still sheathed in warmth from its journey in the bubbling water. Dyes lined up on the table, a horizon of potential, ready to transform shells into canvases. Each moment an egg, full, waiting, liquid possibility. I want to crack the shell of time, feel the power of my fingers as they shatter the shell into shards. Sometimes I want to cleave moments apart so the fragile core remains whole and undisturbed. Some moments I want to hard boil so I can cleanly dissect their meaning. Some I wish to fold into a batter so that they become absorbed into something larger than themselves. Some I wish I could scramble so I can't tease them apart. Some moments I blend into the background. Some are the structure that holds everything together. Some I wish to put back into the carton, but each one contains the building blocks of life.
Beautiful, Megan. Do you have another poem that you'd like to share?
Sure.
Okay.
This is called Waffle. I leaf through the rack of clothes. Hangers creak like the rickety salt-soaked swings at the beach. Fingertips graze a shirt, soft and woven. Tiny squares like the waffles Mom would slide onto our plates on Sunday mornings. Sizzling, streaming from their open mouths, a fleeting language I longed to translate. I imagined the tiny linked squares were fairies' homes. Some days they were letters on a keyboard, ready to catch the stories sprouting from my fingers. Some days they were just perfect beds for maple syrup. Now I rub the fabric like I'm preparing to plant. Fingers tunnel soil, create empty spaces for growth, a honeycomb of hope. I wish my future could replicate these lines, this wearable map of the streets of New York City. So my steps would be linked and clear. If this weave could stretch across the world and build nests for wild beating fears and wrap fragile shells of uncertainty, I wonder if we would remember that like this fabric grid, we are all separate but connected, touching the edges of each other's dreams, standing on one another's shoulders, helping to define each other's shapes. And empty spaces are not always forlorn. That color won't look good on you, my sister's voice floats from across the store. I slip the cool garment into place and dig a shallow hollow to plant another memory.
Beautiful, Megan. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks.
So we're very grateful that Herb Wallstein was our first open mic reader and then interrupted back for feature. So he asked to read a second poem. Absolutely, Herb. Please give us a second poem.
Oh, thank you very much, Judy. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Anyway, this one was originally written April 4th, 1971, a little over 50 years ago, and it's for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brown and black skin, red blood. From brown and black skin, red blood is being spilled in too many places. It's oozing out like the tears from broken promises and the sweat from dreams becoming nightmares. It's flowing onto inner city sidewalks and down police precinct porch steps. It's following a deferred dream and too often finding only dirt and death. Thank you.
Powerful. Thank you, Herb.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, let's give a very warm welcome to our next open mic reader, Maggie Bloomfield.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I just have one. Well, I used to run a workshop, and one of the prompts was a BMW option, which is bitch, moan, and whine. And this week, I really got into that. So this hopefully will be the only time I ever read this poem, okay? It's called Proficiency of the Left Hand. I dropped the jar of pickles, licked the juice from the floor. Disheveled, I call myself, hair tumbled, laughably louche. The empty yoga mat points to the struggle with buttons and downward dog. The smear of mascara I call a forehead tattoo resembles the way I write my name. Temporary, you call it, this vat of lemonade squeezed from sour lemons. Suck it.
You can rant on anytime. You sure you don't have another?
Well,
We don't twist arms, but you know,
no,
this
no,
is
no.
the
well,
welcoming room.
I mean,
you
you
know.
don't have to twist my arm.
Only the good one.
This is, yeah, please don't twist my arm. All right, this is really short. I wrote one every day. These are like the ones I like. The left hand knows exactly what the right hand is doing. Nothing. Thank you.
Woohoo!
How about you, Judy?
I have two poems to read. How's that? I don't want to think of it as out of time to read this. Oh, no, 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 no. But I have, this is my homage to summer, and I'm not letting go. I will not be letting go, at least until Christmas. If it stays warmer after that, that's fine too. And so I have to thank Tammy Green for the anthology Escape. So this is my my love song for summer. Our song. A calliope of notes strung together, replayed over again through a loudspeaker above a windshield. Not a soothing lullaby, no sonata or big band hip hop, no rock, gospel, jazz, punk. No, a tinny music box rendition, repeated ad infinitum, and I love it, look forward to it with longing. He's my steady, comes by at 5, rarely late, always announces his arrival playing our song. We've never met, don't know his name, the color of his eyes, but I adore him. The ice cream man comes to me in summer, chlorine scented summer, beach baby tanning wave days, in near summer, in summer soon, and holding fast to the best season of the year. Don't know where he goes when it gets cold, but I miss him and his music box melody with a fierceness that frightens me. No bad days, no horrid headlines, no political crap can keep me from him. Rain or shine, he's my guy, proclaiming sun season. I don't race out the door screaming ice cream like I did when I was 5. Don't buy a thing from him. Just watch him drive by. Know all is sprinkler, spray great with the world when he's near. And if only I could hear our song all year long. And I want to play poetry roulette with Maggie, and I asked her to pick a number from 9 to 45. 3 to 4, 3 to 45.
18.
I love not being afraid. Yeah. And this would have been my second choice anyway. And so I'm delighted. I thank you for welcoming me. I thank you, Chip, for trusting me. And I'm so glad that this did not happen. Virtual timing. Phone has been a silent sentry for weeks in this pandemic. Robocallers extinct for lack of work. I'm on a Zoom poetry reading. Mike clicked on to read my poem at the open, and you guessed it, my phone rings. Not my cell phone at my elbow that I can click off, but the house phone, too far to reach to press the red shut up button, and so I read my poem. A few days later, the host sends a video of the reading. So nice to hear the features again. Phrases I missed, narratives to relive and savor, and then there's the open. Too anxious to wait, I fast forward to me, hear the phone loud as Big Ben at midnight, and again cringe at virtual timing. What I missed the first time now makes me chuckle. Several poets get up, checking their phones, sighing before returning to their virtual square on the screen. I want to shout, it was me. My phone rang. So sorry for the interruption, but I know it's too late for that. 2 days later, I attend another reading. My time at the open mic, I hold my breath that the phone will not ring, and it doesn't. Instead, Snickers, our watchdog, starts a chorus of barking, joined by our other dog, Ruffles, just as I start reading. No way to shut the door, tell them to shut up. I just read my poem through gritted teeth at the sheer injustice of virtual timing. On the last reader, we say goodbye, click off quick and clean, dogs still barking an alarm. I race to look out the window and smile to see 3 baby bunnies running in circles to catch each other. A hopping game of tag, so cute, so small, so clear why the dogs are alerting me. When the video arrives in my inbox, I click off without watching it. Instead, I sit watching our front lawn for bunnies, the dogs quiet beside me. Thank you, Maggie. Guess who I see?
I think Russ is back.
Hi, Russ. Would you like to read at the open?
Hi, I'm working, well, I'm just done working now, but I was working before, and that's why I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I didn't want you to see me like coming and going and coming and going, it looks weird. But Kelly actually called me. I saw a missed call from Kelly, and she's like, they're calling you to read. And I was like, I don't know if I have anything to read, but I realized I have my poetry book with me on the road. So this is truly like poetry on the road.
On the road.
This is on the road. Yes. So I'm actually just leaving a customer's driveway in Mill Neck, but they're not home. So
don't take your
you
work
never
home
know
with
what
you.
happens at your house when you go out. Okay. One poem, 2 poems. What are you looking for? Okay.
2 if you like.
Whatever you want. Okay, real quick. And thank you for the opportunity to read. I just wanted to, support my dear friend Kelly and Judy and the Doreen and all the rest of the lovely poetry family. And the other feature, I forgot your name, but you were magnificent. It was great to see and hear you. Okay, so I'm going to, in the words of Barbara Myers, I'm going to shut up and read the poem now. Okay, I come from water. I come from expanse of rippling through history. Effigies of wave dances flowed together and ended mid-page, before commas were added, before currency of time was paid, before the ferry could deliver my explanations. I come from mountains, hard granite, longing spires of earth, striking a pose, stopping clouds in their tracks. The valleys know what's afoot on those high peaks, and they want in on the action. I come from trickle-down waterfalls and the tiny brooks where plankton describes what it's like to be food for infinitesimal fish in the middle of a world crisis. I come from the harbor that held me close, protected me all those years from tyrannical sands outside the inlet, seaweed shredded from millennia of oligarchical hurricanes. I come from you, the hard-headed patriarch, descended authoritarian, you, genocidal forefathers, broken seashell skulls rotting under emerald lawns, under guilty gravestones. I come from pharmaceuticals of precious polluted island, aquifer, deforested ranges. You, indefatigable you. Consistent, unrelenting, soulless loser of the moral arc. The universe refuses you and sends me stardust. I spread her like ashes among evergreens, and she recedes into incoming tides of tomorrow like a new bride throwing a bouquet to no one. Okay, so this is called Orient Point. Lemon rinds and car rides, birth family, adopted family, family lost, mother lost, The citrus sits on the lap of my safe, seductive dream. The endings and the onwards, hollow body, lump throat, lack of eating, the leaky cup. I wear my wounds like crushed velvet, and the rain welcomes me by the sultry harbor. Foggy moon craters teach lessons from their bright space and blackness, bright space, black sky. Now the morning of the field of lavender is purpling apocalyptic anxiety. The tiny crepe cafe around the corner with its tiny tables and tiny chairs and the tiny careless road, handing my tongue's anticipation through the tiny window, the thin dough draped in a hair clip Russian accent. It's a long, narrow road back, but she's got the wheel and I've got the radio, and even the burnt sienna end of day reflections on the farm stands, pavement, and sleepy trees cannot deny the rush that comes with tomorrow's new light. Thank you. I appreciate it. Great to see you guys.
Woohoo, that was worth waiting for.
Goodness, that was fabulous.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Russ.
What a fabulous group.
You're welcome.
We are going to bring our features back, but first I want to thank everybody on the open mic. I mean, my God, you guys were amazing. Thank you so much. And please come back to Poetry
It's so
Beat.
good to see you, Maggie.
Oh, so good to see you. Okay, Kelly and Briel. Oh my God, what a wonderful afternoon this turned out to be. Kelly, you have another poem for us?
I do. I was going to start with this because Robert Frost said you should start with something funny so you don't seem like you take yourself so serious. So I'll end with it. This is my attempt at a villanelle. So it's called Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Poetry Reading. Do not go gentle into that good poetry reading to which you rush after a long, hard day. Rage, rage against the dying of the open mic. Old age should never make you stay away, nor the changing of your hair to gray. Do not go gentle into that good poetry reading. With children and spouses causing fights, questioning one's whereabouts on hectic weeknights. Rage, rage against the dying of the open mic. A noisy espresso maker and hearts quick beating. Try not to worry about what everyone's eating. Do not go gentle into that good poetry reading. Poems in the bathroom, puppets on a stick. Some talk and talk, others leave real quick. Rage, rage against the dying of the open mic. I know the bill may be large for the night proceeding, and there may be a war over proper seating. Do not go gentle into that good poetry reading. Disputes arise with the order poets are reading, and you never know who will come out bleeding. Rage, rage against the dying of the open mic. That is my only villanelle.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much. And Briel, before you start, you were not here at the beginning. Chip could not be with us today because he had a paying gig, for God's sake. But he sends his apologies, and I know that he will be watching this as soon as, because we are recording it. And do you have a final poem for us?
I do. I am just beyond overwhelmed, and I'm so happy that I could be here. I needed this. I feel like I have been just refilled with everything that has been lost, and I'm trying not to be emotional, honestly. I'm probably gonna go cry after this, but it's okay. I'm not gonna cry now. I'm so blessed. I love being around poets and poets who love to do poetry. And it's not an assignment. It's something that you choose to do. It's a place that you choose to go, and that's always healing, always. So thank you for having me, most definitely. I do have one more piece. I was going to read from what I already had open, but there is a piece I'm kind of working on, and I would just like to share it. Gonna be brave. One, because it is something I'm still working on, and two, it's one of those pieces that is more emotional, I guess you could say. whereas everything else kind of had distance from it. But it's called Bread. You and I made love in my mind so many times. You held my thigh in your right pocket the whole night. My eyes drinking all the alien lights blossoming like dogwood. Right now, I am staring at yet another art project, and the rain cannot get on beat against the window unit. On my birthday in Kill Devil Hills, I stood on an overlook and looked out across the water. My feet were cold from the sand, still in April, and cupped in my hands a few chipped shells. My chest tried to mimic the waves and shivered at the expanse of blue satin that stretches into the sky. From where I stood, I am someone's lighthouse. I tried to picture you in Chicago, driving fast down the street after work, where at that moment you were but an hour behind. Maybe you'd be at a Brazilian steakhouse, glossing your lips with ice under the dim. I forced my finger on the tip of a nail sticking up from the rail at the thought of someone looking at you. I remember the hoodie you wore downtown as we wafted in and out of doors in October. Your cornrowed hair, your hands like open mouths. I remember you staring at me for the first time, as if you were trying to make sense of me. I turned to scribbles. Some things turn core in your thought transit and it just don't let up. We got food from Harold's and I still held leftover anxiety from the night before in my belly. You helped me finish my leftover chicken and bread at the bottom of the box. The sun flooded your apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, and Seinfeld's nasally voice echoed against the hardwood. Missing someone who will only send a half-charged hologram of themselves is like trying to leave a hole in water. As much as you think to yourself it's stupid, your mind betrays you thinking it's possible. Just now, a man at the gas pump across from me asks if he could pump my gas. He begins to talk about how I make him nervous. And suddenly, I knew I am old enough to say no and mean it. When I look back across my life, I always see the times I was starving. Loose leaf paper, Papermate classic pencils, and one huge crush where I'd write stories about being kissed into dust, like I knew what that was. I didn't love anybody yet, but every day I thought I did because movies made it look easy. I used to daydream about a boy named Enoch. He lived in Maria's neighborhood, Lake Shores, in a house like with burnt orange shutters and trimmings. Her crush Kyle lived in the same neighborhood. His shutters and trimmings were green. We would walk the neighborhood googly-eyed and giggling and tripling over nothing, hoping with each lap we would see one of them taking out the trash or getting into a car. That would have been enough to shut up fire in our bones, enough to dream on. Once, Maria told me when she thought enough about Kyle in real life, she'd dream about him at night. I was so desperate. I replaced eating with thinking, all the scenarios my limited mind could manage. On the last day of school, I gave Maria a note to give to him on the bus ride home. All she could do was tell me the whole bus ride he sat with his mouth open. That summer he moved. Honey, I miss you. And some nights it's easier. I think of how excited you got over LED lights or how you FaceTimed me to watch you build a desk, and the stories about the other girls and their mistakes, how many of them kissed you and where, parties and body parts. I think about the first time you put your arms around me. I couldn't help but wonder if I felt right or if I was just enough for the moment. Beyond that, I had a great time. I think of the white bread at the bottom of the box lying next to you in our eyes meeting. I swore each time a kiss would happen. I remember holding myself at the mirror, my yellow lights burning my eyes as I practiced saying no to you. I had already made love to you 8 times this morning in my head, and I knew asking for you to let me go would be like getting the prize in the claw machine and being told to release it. I realize it now. The answer is I did feel right in your arms, and I'm sorry. I think about my students, all itching through 50 minutes of me winging it. Their minds are new to this. Probably all of them thinking they've been in love and know what it means. They watch my adult face on Zoom when I still try to walk in my mother's heels. I know they want me to stop talking. I envy them, how their minds are new to all of this, learning how to say yes for the first time, how none of them really understands yet how hard it is to starve and not want the bread at the bottom of the box anymore. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful afternoon this has been. I'm gonna let Judy take us out. First of all, I want to thank Judy. Let us give Judy a hand for taking over today, because you wouldn't have wanted me to, trust me. And I
My
want to
pleasure.
thank our glorious features, Kelly and Briel. I'm just thrilled. And another hand for everybody on the open mic. Everybody was great. This is it just fills me up these afternoons. And I hope you all will come back to Poetry Street, and that you will tell your friends about Poetry Street on Zoom. And I love you all. And Chip will be back next month. I'm gonna let Judy take us out today. Go ahead, girl. Thank you again.
Thank you all. This has just been such a pleasure. Really, truly, I enjoyed this very much. I miss Chip dearly, but I hope I did him justice. And the last thing I ask of each of you is a round of thanks and blessings and healing for Maggie. Thank you for being here. I know it can't be easy. And so thank you all. Enjoy the rest of a glorious summer-like weekend. And I'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Enjoy.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here.